Halloween, happy Halloween, and welcome to this special edition of Mystery Unsolved, Halloween edition. And you may remember, as I said last Friday, it is a special because I am once again talking about the Cecil Hotel. Now, why am I talking about the Cecil Hotel again? Well, if any of you watched the video that I did last year or the year before on it, then you know that it's just a ridiculously good building. It's a ridiculous location. It's haunted. It's creepy. It's vile. It's sinister. So much stuff. Excuse me. So much stuff has happened there. So I figured, why not do another video on it? Just kind of like the guys at Ghost Adventures did. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to be going over. I'm pretty much going to be going over the same information I went over last time. That way you can get my reactions. Also, I'm going to be looking at another couple more articles so that way we can get a better feel. Maybe there's something I missed the first time, although that's kind of unlikely considering they make sure that they cover everything. Articles make sure they cover everything when it comes to the Cecil. But nevertheless, we'll do a quick little rundown. I'll check for time. This is an hour-long special. Do a quick little rundown of the last video for the information. Like I said, then let's just get right into it, shall we? Stop beating around the bush and let's get into it, Justin. All right. Little recap for those that don't remember, excuse me. The Cecil Hotel is an affordable housing complex in downtown Los Angeles. Yes, that would be now. It opened on December 20th, 1924 as a budget hotel. In 2011, the hotel renamed the Stay on Main. The 14th-floor hotel has 700 guest rooms. The hotel has a checkered history, with many suicides and deaths occurring there. Renovations started in 2017 but were halted by COVID-19. Ha! Resulting in the hotel's temporary closure. On December 13th, 2021, the Cecil Hotel was re-inaugurated as an affordable housing complex. Can you imagine staying at the Cecil now? Like, it's affordable. You can stay here. You want to stay here at the Cecil? Do you? You can go to the 12th floor and fall to your death. I mean, that's what happened. I mean, that didn't happen here. Come on in. Sorry. You'll probably see me go in and out of 20s or 40s voice. So, the Cecil Hotel is located right across the street from Skid Row, which is where like a ton of homeless people hang out. So naturally, you would assume that those homeless people don't have to be homeless anymore, right? Probably not. They probably still want to be homeless. At least some of them do. So it says there's 14 floors, but floor count it says 15. So maybe there's like a maintenance floor, or maybe the staff has a floor. Management, Skid Row Housing Trust. Wow. The management is called Skid Row Housing Trust. I don't trust that for anything. It was built in 1924, don't you know? Within like a year, however, I think the place started to go to shit. All right. All right, so we're going to get right into the good stuff. Why we're here. We're here because the Cecil Hotel is notorious for being a creepy destination. A ton of people have committed suicide here. The Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez, supposedly stayed here while he was killing. He didn't kill anybody at the Cecil, but supposedly he stayed at the Cecil while he was out. He would go out at night and kill people and then return to his room in the Cecil Hotel. Also, Jack Ungerwager, another serial killer, he was actually posing as a reporter And in reality, he was going out and killing people because he was inspired by Richard Ramirez's stay at the Cecil. So he ended up going to the Cecil himself in the 90s. And same thing. He was actually not caught until he actually got back to Austria, which I think is where he was from. All right. The first documented suicide at the Cecil occurred on the evening of January 22nd, 1927, when Percy Orman Cook, 52, shot himself in the head while inside his hotel room after failing to reconcile with his wife and child. All right, so 1927, for those keeping track, 1924 is when the place opened. So for whatever reason, this man took one look at the Cecil, and this man single-handedly changed the dynamic of the Cecil Hotel. I don't know if that's been acknowledged, but I am acknowledging it right now. Percy Orman Cook was the first person in 1927 to take his own life at the Cecil Hotel. But were things so bad with your wife and child that you couldn't reconcile, so you just decided to go to a hotel and blow your brains out? Like, uh, the Los Angeles Times reported that he was rushed to the receiving hospital with a slim chance of survival. Death records reveal that he died the same evening. The next death occurred in 1931, so we're keeping track here. 30, 28, 29, 30, that's 4 years later, when a guest, W.K. Norton, died in his room after taking poison capsules. So the first guy shoots himself in the head. This person decides to take poison capsules. Huh. I don't really know. That's all right then. Throughout the 40s, throughout the 1940s and 1950s, more suicides at the Cecil occurred. That's all it says on that part. In 2008, two longtime residents referred to the Cecil as the Suicide, and it became a popular nickname in social media years later. RoomSpook, a website that tracks hotels, lists at least 13 suicides that happened at the hotel. 13 suicides. 13. You want to take your life, do you? Come on to the Cecil. Come take your life now. Come to the Cecil. Sorry, it's the habit at this point. Um, in addition to suicides, Cecil's history includes other violent and disturbing happenings. It also became a notorious rendezvous spot for adulterous couples, drug activity, and a common ground for prostitutes. So everything vile and dirty and degrading that you could possibly think of happened here. So if Dorian Gray were a real person, he probably would have stayed at the Cecil Hotel. Like a rendezvous spot for adulterous couples. So like if you wanted to cheat on your spouse, you went to the Cecil. If you wanted to do drugs, you went to the Cecil. If you wanted to pick up a woman of the night, aka a prostitute, you went to the Cecil. In 2015, while researching the Cecil Hotel for an article for KCET, researcher Hadley Mears claimed that in 1947, Elizabeth Short, dubbed the Black Dahlia in the media, was rumored to have been seen drinking at the Cecil bar in the days before her notorious and unsolved murder. However, this claim appears to be nothing more than a retelling of a long-forgotten falsehood that first appeared in a 1995 column written by the Los Angeles Times columnist Steve Harvey. Not that Steve Harvey. Without verifying the claim, Harvey had quoted Ken Shesler, author of the book This Is Hollywood, on saying, on January 11, 1947, just 3 days before she was murdered, the Black Dahlia was seen in the bar in the Cecil Hotel with a girlfriend and two sailors. Shesler then added, in fact, the hotel and the bars in the same block, including the dugout next door, were some of Elizabeth Short's favorite hangouts during the week before she was killed. According to LAPD records, Short was last seen alive at the Millennium Biltmore Hotel on January 9th and was not seen again until her body was discovered in pieces, for those that forgot, in an empty field on January 15th. There are no records of Short ever being in the Cecil Hotel. So this is a clear case of a mistaken building, not identity. So he was probably thinking the Cecil because it's just by this point he creates basically what I think Schessler did is he took one unsolved murder and he linked it to an unsolved building, like violent death, violent building, puts them together. Because I imagine there's a huge difference between the Millennium Biltmore and the Cecil Hotel. Being one is a portal to hell, most likely, which I will cover later. In 1964, a retired telemaker named Pigeon Goldie Osgood, who had been a well-known and well-liked long-term resident at the hotel, was found dead in her room. She had been raped, stabbed, beaten, and her room was ransacked. Jacques B. Ellinger was charged with Osgood's murder because he was seen covered in blood roaming the streets close to the hotel, but was later cleared as a suspect. Her murder remains unsolved. So the Cecil Hotel in itself is an unsolved mystery, and yet an unsolved mystery took place in an unsolved mystery. An unsolved mystery first, an unsolved mystery inside an unsolved mystery. Now we get into the 80s, so if you remember what I just said to you, in the 1980s, the hotel was temporary residence of serial killer Richard Ramirez, aka the Night Stalker. Ramirez was a singular presence on the Skid Row area of Los Angeles, and according to a hotel clerk who claims to have been spoken to him, Ramirez is rumored to have stayed at the Cecil for a few weeks. Ramirez engaged in most of, if not all, of his killing sprees while staying there. He reportedly stripped off his bloody clothes in the alley outside the building before climbing the interior stairs to his residence inside his blood-stained underwear. On October 30th, 1985, a group of Los Angeles residents spotted him in the street and prevented him from escaping until police arrived to arrest him. In 1989, Ramirez was convicted of 13 murders and sentenced to death, although he would ultimately die of cancer in 2013. So, just as I said, Richard Ramirez was actually seen going in and out of his, like a passageway in the alley to get to his room. And eventually it caught up to him because people saw it and people kind of made the connection. They connected the dots and they're like, wait a minute, like, this is the guy. Another serial killer, Austrian Jack Unterweger, stayed at the Cecil in 1991, possibly because he sought to copy Ramirez's crimes. While there, he strangled and killed at least 3 prostitutes, crimes he was convicted of in Austria. So yeah, it was like literally 2 years, like actually maybe like 5 or 6 years after Richard Ramirez. Jack Unterweger was just so inspired. He came to the States and was like, let me recreate what Richard Ramirez did. He was actually killed in Austria. In 2013, the Cecil, by then rebranded as the Stay on Main. I love that they try to rebrand it. It's the Stay on Main now. Like, no, it's the Cecil. No, sir, you're mistaken. It's the Stay on Main. No, sir, you are mistaken. It is the Cecil Hotel. It will always be the Cecil Motel. I beg to differ with you, sir. Oh, God. Although still maintaining the original Hotel Cecil signs and painted advertisements on its exterior, because you have to, became the focus of renewed attention while surveillance footage of a young Canadian student. Oh, you know where this is going, don't you? Elisa Lam behaving erratically in the hotel's elevator went viral. So I covered this in the first video. If you haven't seen this, then apparently you haven't been you've been in a coma for like the last 6 years. Everybody and their grandmother has seen this video of Elisa Lam. She jumps out of the elevator, and it looks like she's talking to somebody. Then she jumps back into the elevator, and she's just kind of like, and her body, of course, was, well, I'm going to read it so you'll know. The video depicts Lam repeatedly pressing the elevator's buttons, walking in and out of the elevator, and possibly attempting to hide from someone. It was recorded shortly before her disappearance. After 19 days, her naked body was discovered in the water supply cistern above the hotel roof, on the hotel roof, following complaints from guests of odd tasting water and low pressure. Imagine that being the way they found her body. Because the water tasted funny. Oh my God. How she got into the water tank long remained a mystery. The floor Lamb stayed on was one of the floors that did not have security footage, which left uncertainty as to whether her death was homicide until Lamb's sister had revealed to the detective that Lamb had a history of not taking her medication. Among her possessions left at the hotel were several prescription medications, seemingly untouched. Lamb had previously been diagnosed with an extreme form of bipolar disorder and was known for displaying similar psychotic behavior in the past when under-medicated. Police ruled that her erratic behavior on the elevator was caused by a paranoid hallucination as she climbed into the tank herself, believing that she was in danger. Police then speculate that perhaps when she entered the tank, the water level was high enough that she could have gotten herself out, but as guests and residents used tap water, the level could have decreased, leaving her trapped in the tank without a way to get herself out. They also speculate she undressed while in the tank, attempting to remove the clothing weighing her down. The Los Angeles County coroner ruled her death accidental due to drowning, with bipolar disorder being a significant factor. Are you fucking kidding me? First of all, the Los Angeles Police Department apparently are a bunch of morons. She put herself in the tank. Yeah, okay. I know she was bipolar, but come on. The door to the water cover, the cover to the water tank was closed. That thing probably weighs a good, it probably weighs a good amount. So she got in the water tank, stripped naked, then covered the tank by closing the door. None of that makes sense. That is preposterous. I do not buy that whatsoever. It's also I said this in my last video. It's also speculated. Well, it's not speculated, but a video I had watched on this documentary I watched on the Cecil Hotel showed Elisa Lam, and what they did was they made it seem like she was talking to somebody, like the maintenance guy that worked there, and that maybe he did it. But if you look at real cases and stuff that talks about this, there's no mention of any person that worked there interacting with Elisa Lam. So the fact that that documentary, but in particular, kind of made it seem like she was talking to somebody, I thought that was really interesting because it's the only place you'll find. If I get the name of it, I'll put it in. I'll put it in the description. I don't think I did that last time, but yeah. So it's. I think that there's some levity to that. I think there's a possibility that like a maintenance guy or somebody that worked there that was already creepy and deranged themselves, saw this young college student kind of out of her mind and just kind of said, "Hey, what do we got here?" Hey, I think it's Investigation Discovery did a three-part episode crime series called Horror at the Cecil Hotel. I think that's the one I watched. And I apologize. My tablet's just. I'm just waiting for my tablet to crash, but it hasn't. Want to see how bad it is? I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, see that? See that? See that wave in the corner? Yeah, that's how bad it's gotten. Oh, there's a nice picture of it. Hold on. Picture of the Cecil. It's actually one of the better pictures I've seen. I mean, it doesn't look menacing at all. Low week, low daily weekly rate, 700 rooms. All right, I don't think I'm gonna find any like newer information that I don't already know. I'll check back, but I want to answer some question that obviously nobody has because no one's here watching this. But I'll answer some questions. I'll ask the question myself and I'll answer it myself. So, do I think the Cecil Hotel is haunted? Yes, it absolutely 150% has to be haunted. Who do I think haunts the place? Probably a number of the people who committed suicide there. Maybe Richard Ramirez, maybe Jack Ungerwager, just because that's the place where they probably felt most comfortable, most themselves. That's where they had the best time of their lives, even though it was killing people. But again, that's the money of a serial killer. So I think there's probably anybody and everybody that you could think of. Heck, I think there's probably some, prostitutes that haunt the place, because they were killed there. Imagine a poor ghost prostitute still trying to hook, still out there hooking, not realizing she's dead. Why is nobody trying to? Why has no one picked me up in 13 years? Although she wouldn't understand the concept at the time, so that's probably not true. This tablet. All right. Here we go. Do I think the Cecil Hotel is a portal to hell? Possibly. It could be. I wouldn't say definitively, but you know how they say there's certain places that are portals to hell. And a portal not being an actual portal, but being a place that has a lot of strange happening, a lot of unexplained things happen there, which would be a portal. Like it's within our time frame of space and time, but it's just a bad place. It gives a bad juju, bad energy, whatever you want to call it. So I would say in that instance, it's a portal to hell. Yeah. Um, I think yeah. Do I know of any places around the area that are also haunted? No. As far as I know, the only place on Skid Row that's haunted that has bad, bad energy would be the Cecil Hotel. I haven't heard of any other place on that street. I don't know of any other place on that street. Put it that way. If there's another hotel on that street, I question people's logic in going to the Cecil rather than the other hotel. Would I stay at the Cecil? Well, obviously it's for living quarters now, but back in the day, would I have stayed at the hotel? No, probably. I could. No, I'm not gonna bullshit you. No. Would I want to go investigating there? Absolutely. I don't think I'd stay the night though. I would definitely want to do like a ghost hunter. Not by myself though. Would I go by myself? Absolutely not. But I would go with other people to investigate it. I totally would. This article's about how it closed during COVID, so there's probably nothing good there. All right, so we're now at the 10:30 threshold. I've been on for almost an hour, half an hour. I started this a little after 10, so yeah, so it was definitely horror at the Cecil Hotel that I watched back in 2020. Oh, there's another one. There's another picture. Hold on. What that doesn't look menacing at all or daunting, does it? Freak? Let's talk about Valentine's Day. I don't know what the heck that's about. All right. Let's see. What other questions would people have that I could perhaps ask? Um, do I think it's a good idea that they're making it affordable housing? Yes and no. If you're gonna take out, if you're gonna give a home to every single homeless person that lives across the street at Skid Row, oh, okay. Because if you're homeless and you're living in those poor conditions, you're already staring at the hotel. You're probably drugged out of your mind. You probably don't know or have no clue because you don't watch the news if you're homeless, right? So, so I would think that if you're homeless, you probably don't care if the place is haunted. You don't know that it's haunted. You don't know the history of it, so you'll probably stay there. You know, I don't know. My tablet's shot. I can't get any. No, I can't load anything. But do I think it's a good idea? Yes and no, because those poor people now, aside from being homeless, they have a new home, so they don't have to worry about being homeless and being drugged out or whatever. But they're probably causing more bad stuff to happen. So maybe not. Definitely not a good idea. Okay. At least 16 people are considered to have died in the hotel, including 20 Lisa Lamb. It's always a Lisa Lamb, and that's how they stop it. That's how they. It keeps freezing. It's so bad. It's so bad. I hate that tablet. I really do. All right. No one's watching at this point, but that's not going to stop me because it never does. So I don't care if I'm talking to myself. I'm going to have some Sour Patch Kids, and I'm not even going to say anything for like 2 minutes. So just enjoy the next 2 minutes of me eating Sour Patch Kids. I'll consider this an intermission. All right. Did you all enjoy my 2-minute intermission of watching me eat Sour Patch Kids? Mystery Unsolved special Halloween on the Cecil is brought to you by me eating Sour Patch Kid. Sour Patch Kid. First they're sour, then they're sweet. All right. Let's see. Let's delve a little bit more. Let's take the articles away. Oh, I never asked. Did anyone like my hat thing? All right. Why is the Cecil a bad place? Well, let's break this down, shall we? Could be a number of things. Number one, maybe it was built on an Indian burial ground or built on cursed or tainted land. It would certainly explain everything from Percy, the first guy to commit suicide, to Richard Ramirez, all the way to Elisa Lam. All three completely different in deaths, but again, a building like that where people just feel the need to kill or just kill themselves, a building built on an ancient Indian burial ground or just tainted, cursed land, definitely seems like a possibility, a strong possibility at that. Possibility theory number two: do not stare directly into the light. Holy crap, I'm not. Blinding. Second theory, I'm kind of going off on a whim here. Some places are just naturally bad. I know that's not a good answer, but there are some places that are just bad. Like didn't they say that in Pet Cemetery? He's like, there are some places that are just bad. There's no explanation. It's just evil. It just is. We think it, therefore it is. That's Descartes' quote for those who are unphilosophical. Yeah, there's no explanation. There's no logic. There's no reasoning. The Cecil Hotel is just naturally evil. I don't like that. I don't like that just as much as you do. It's not a good. It's not justifiable, is it? It really is. It's not justifiable. We as human beings, we need reason. We need answers. And something just is the way it is. What is the way it is? Reason number three. Maybe, just maybe, there's a presence there, a demonic presence, an evil presence that first latched itself to the hotel. Who knows when? 1924 when it opened? 1927 when that first guy committed suicide? Maybe a demonic presence latched itself on there and it just has never let go. Not only that, but it's become stronger over the years because every single person that it gets to kill themselves, it got stronger. When Richard Ramirez stayed there, that demon was probably salivating from the mouth like you wouldn't believe. When Jack Ungerwager stayed there, the demon was probably like taking shape as a full-blooded shadow figure lurking in the alleyways of the Cecil. Elisa Lam, you're gonna like this theory. This one's coming straight up the top of the noggin, so pay attention. What if, because Elisa Lam was bipolar and she wasn't taking her medication, what if she saw this entity, this demon that's been around since the 20s, the Cecil demon that's been just tormenting people in this hotel for like the last 70 years? What if because she was off her meds, which technically made her more in tune, more inept? So of course, if you ask the LAPD, they'll be like, she was hallucinating. No, she was seeing the truth. she was seeing the demon that really runs the Cecil Hotel. What if that's who Elisa Lam was talking to in the hallway? The one she was pressing the elevator? Maybe she was seeing the demon of the Cecil Hotel. Look at that. That's a new theory. No one's come up with that, have they? Have they? No one from the LAPD's come up with that idea because, God, they definitely haven't come up with that. So there's my three theories on what I think happened. Why this? Well, there's my three theories on why I think the Cecil is just so evil. It is now 10:41. I've been at this for 36 minutes. I think I will stop it at the 45-minute threshold. No sense in keeping this running for a full hour when I'm pretty much just going to be thinking of stuff as we go along here. All right, let's see. Why did Richard Ramirez stay there? He liked Skid Row? Sure he did. He fit right in. But what if something else? Again, what if this demonic presence showed itself to Richard Ramirez, and Richard Ramirez, being sick and twisted like he was accepting the invitation, like, hey, I got a place for you to kill and be yourself. And Richard Ramirez was like, I'm listening. The Cecil Hotel, a couple of blocks from here. Stay. Right? See? It sounds stupid, but at the same time, you know it makes it makes so much sense. Don't forget, Mystery Unsolved Special, Halloween at the Cecil, brought to you unofficially by me eating Sour Patch Kids. Sour Patch Kids. Where's the sour? Then the sweet. Jack Underwager, on the other hand, that's one. Not a lot of people talk about Jack Underwager because they forget about him. And I know why. One, Alicia Lamb's blowing everybody out of the water because she's the most recent event to happen there. Two, Richard Ramirez stayed there. Three, no one remembers a copycat, which is exactly what Jack Underwager was to Richard Ramirez. I'd put him third on my list as the most notorious at the Cecil. I imagine some might rank him fourth. He might even be behind the people that killed themselves, which is going to be the word I talk about next. After I talk about Jack Underwager for another minute or two. You have to be pretty sick and deranged to not only pose as a reporter, but to want to kill. And to want to kill at a spot where another serial killer killed. Like, I know there's copycat killers, that's the whole point of it, but it's just try to take that whole copycat out of it. Like, a hotel. Like, most of the time, a copycat killer is just somebody who does the same thing. They don't go to the same places. So, the fact that the Cecil Hotel had two serial killers stay there within the span of, like, what, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 7 years. In the span of 7 years, they had two serial killers stay there. You know how fucking crazy that is? Excuse me for dropping the F-bomb. That's crazy. Most places are lucky they don't have any. Most locations, buildings are lucky. Thank God we don't have a serial killer in our midst. The Cecil can't say that. The Cecil can't even say, hey, we've only had one serial killer. No. How many places can say unfortunately, we've had two serial killers stay here in the span of 7 years? What? This is me reacting to like somebody pretending like as a person. If the Cecil were a person, I'm the person that they just told that had two serial killers stay there. Like wrap your brain around that. In the span of 7 years, the Cecil Hotel had two serial killers stay there. Two. But Justin, some towns like Las Vegas and some towns like in California, they had the Zodiac and Charles Manson and his family. They killed around a town. Like, okay, but a town is large. A hotel is in a city. It's a specific small place, a small little blemish on a map. And this freaking place had two serial killers stay there in the span of 7 years. I think that in itself goes unnoticed. The most underrated, the most sadistically underrated stat in American history. That could be a good title for a blog. That would be a good title for a blog post. The most sadistic, underrated stat in American history. The Cecil Hotel having two serial killers stay there in the span of 7 years. It's now that I've said it like 5 times, now that you've heard me say it, I hope that you're thinking the same thing that I am. Damn. The more I think about it, the more fucked up it seems. Sorry for the F bomb. Not sorry. But wow. Just wow. Also, suicides. Now, fortunately, the Cecil probably has been beat several times in the suicide category by several other locations. The first being the suicide forest. That's why at least 150 people commit suicide there, which is astronomically way too high. But let's talk about this for a minute. What possesses a person? Now, I've never. Uh, excuse me, my nose is a little runny. I've never been depressed. I've never been suicidal. Well, I mean, I've felt depressed. Don't get me wrong. I've never felt depressed to the point where I had suicidal thoughts. I don't know that. I've never experienced that. But at the same time, my heart goes out to the people, unfortunately, that do. I have a heart. Um, but what possesses people? What makes somebody say, like, hey, I'm going to take my life, but I'm going to go to a hotel to do it? That in itself, upwards of 45 minutes, but I'm making a good point in progress here. So we're going to go continue on here. It's hard enough to fathom why somebody decides to go to any random hotel to take their life. So on top of that, now you have to think to yourself, what possesses somebody to go to the Cecil to kill themselves? Is it because that's the closest hotel near them? Or do they already know about the deaths that are like obviously Percy, he was the first to do it. The person that took the poison capsules was the second. So everybody after them, did they know about the two deaths and were they just like, oh, well, that's where everybody else kills themselves, so that's where I'm going to go to do it too. Or could it be the evil presence, demonic presence I was talking about that's kind of like luring people there, like, hey, Cecil Hotel. Low rates, high death rate. Come on down. Right? Like you don't know. Like I always wonder what makes people want to go to hotels and kill themselves in general for any hotel. But when it's the Cecil, I can't help but wonder like, is it the evil presence? Is it the fact that the people know that there's a statistic for how many people have already killed themselves there? Are these factors? Like I would legitimately want to know. The only way I would ever know is if I talk to a spirit of the Cecil, like, hey, is the reason you killed yourself? Why did you kill yourself here? Did you hear the Cecil was a good joint? Is it because of the other people in the past that killed themselves, so you thought it'd be a good location? Did the devil or a demonic presence tell you to do it? What drove you to kill yourself at the Cecil Hotel? Was it just a, was it just you were in the area? Like again, it seems great. Like that seems like a stupid response, but seriously, like I would want to know. It could be as simple as, hey, I was just in the area and this place looked good. Look, it looked inviting, intimidatingly inviting, or whatever, you know. Do I think I didn't answer this question? I didn't ask this question. Do I think some of Richard Ramirez's victims are staying at the Cecil, haunting it? Probably not because they weren't specifically, like I said, Richard Ramirez did not kill him at the Cecil. But because Ramirez stayed there, maybe the ghost could also stay there. I'm not sure how the whole. So I only remember that ghosts can only haunt. They can't haunt where they never were. Is that true? Somebody who, all right, person to the person that watches this on the playback, if you're familiar with the paranormal and ghosts, comment, reach out to me and message me. Can I'll probably ask this. I'm gonna ask this. Can a ghost haunt where they never were? Like when I say haunt, I mean like full fledged, like crazy shit, you know? Poltergeist, right? Did I just answer my own question? um, but yeah, do I think Richard Ramirez's victims haunt the Cecil Hotel? Maybe, but I would think they maybe like the alleyway more than the actual hotel, just because the hotel is probably crawling with spirits. So the actual Cecil residents that have stayed there, that have died, that are ghosts now, that are probably just like, hey, there's no room in here for you. Do I think Richard Ramirez haunts the Cecil? Oh yeah, definitely. Whatever room he stayed in, I'm sure he's there. Like I'm in the sick part. The sick part about this is like, you know damn well that people who used to check into the Cecil were like, hey, what room did Richard Ramirez stay in? That's the room I want to stay in. And I think they actually that on the documentary Horror at the Cecil Hotel, I think people actually did that. They wanted to know what room he stayed at. Jack Underwager did it. That's why Jack Underwager did what he did. Because he wanted to know the exact room where Richard Ramirez killed so he could so he could take it in, become more inspired. So just think, people after years later were like, hey, what room did Richard Ramirez and Jack Underwager stay in? It's like, we're not going to disclose that information because we don't want a third serial killer here. God forbid we only have two. Crazy. All right. So we were at the 50-minute mark. We have about 10 minutes left, but really it's only 5 minutes till 11. uh, I appreciate all the people that came to watch, which was zero as far as I know. It's telling me zero. If you showed up, I'm sorry, it doesn't tell me that you showed up. Again, please just reach out to me. Show me and let me know that you watched it if you did. That's the only way I'm gonna know. So that way if you want credit for having attended, you know. I appreciate you. So I do hope that those that watch this on the playback do enjoy the crazy, crazy time that I had. I had a good time. I really did. Just going over all the things about the Cecil and for the very many that I just stuttered. Um, all the very many intricate parts that is the Cecil Hotel, or as the people like to call it now, the Stay on Main. Yeah, it's the Cecil Hotel. It will always be the Cecil. I beg to differ with those that think otherwise. Those that watch this in the playback, please, I'm reaching out to you. If you've come this far, reach out to me in a message on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you follow me, however it is that you came across this video, and actually leave a comment on YouTube that right on the video down below. Much appreciated. I will likely comment you back because I have nothing better to do. Um, but yeah, so thank you for watching Mystery Unsolved Special, the return discussion of the Cecil Hotel. Until next time.